Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the one and only Incoming here on the Psychosin project on YouTube. Today I'm going to be reviewing the upcoming Ensiferum album called One Man Army, which is out on the 23rd of February. I'll admit this is my very first time actually hearing Ensiferum. I'm a bit of a pagan metal fan, thanks to my friend Sprinkles. She got me into a fair bit of it. I was already listening to Fintroll, but she introduced me to a couple of other bands like Elvati, etc. I found a band called Trollfest myself. I definitely recommend you go check them out. But yes, I'm going to be telling you whether the new Ensiferum album is worth getting, really. Anyway, let's dive into it. So the first song on the album is March of War. Now this is just a typical intro track to sort of set the mood with the use of a flute and definitely an epic feeling of marching into war to set you up for the rest of the album. Then we get into the first song proper on the album, which is Acts of Judgment, which starts at full speed with a nice blasting drum beat and high speed guitars. Then the vocalin kicks in and we're off properly into this Ensiferum album. And there's a nice use of crossing melodies from both the guitars and the keyboards on this track. The vocalist himself reminded me a bit of the vocalist of Dark Tranquility, and there's great use of folk instruments that blend perfectly with the guitars and the pounding drums on this song. Halfway through we break down to a nice stompy riff with violins in the background playing along, then a Viking chorus backing up the lead singer's shouts, and there's nice use of the chorus again helping create the whole Viking mood for the middle eight of the song. The drums roll and then we have another superb solo from the guitarist and the vocalist comes crashing back in to take us to the end of the song. It's a fantastic way to start the album along with the intro track. Up next is Heathen Horde. This starts with a nice mid-paced stomp with a nice folk style sounding riff being played by the guitarists. The vocalist then comes in backed up by occasional gang vocals as well. And for the chorus there's a choral backing singers that come back in and help drive the song along. Another song that achieves that perfect blend of heaviness and epicness that I'm sure is what most pagan metal fans always want from their bands. At the halfway point we're down to just an acoustic guitar and violin, then the drums start pounding. Whole band kicks back in after a gang chorus shout. There's another recital of the chorus that takes us to the end of the song. The next song many of you have already heard. This is the first single from the album. It starts with a nice thrashy, almost Slayer type riff. Then the drums roll and we're into full speed after a scream from the vocalist. We then go into a fast stomp and the vocalist over the top of the riffs. Then we get the choir vocals kicking in as well along with the lead vocalist. It's definitely a song to help get you pumped up and really get the pits going when they start playing it live as well. There's a guitar solo in the middle of this song again that's absolutely perfectly judged and played incredibly well. And the chorus once again leading us to the end of the song. I can see why they picked this as the first single from the album, because so far it kind of showcases everything you can expect from this album that I've heard on so far. Admittedly it's only been 3-4 songs, but still, yeah, this is a superb way to sort of show people what they can expect from the rest of the album. Next is Burden of the Fallen. Now this is more of an interlude as it's only about 2 minutes long. This one starts with a flute and which breaks up the heaviness of the rest of the album and shows versatility of the band to pretty much play whatever they wish to. The vocalist using clean vocals on here, which changes things up. Reminds me a little of the Bard song by Blind Guardian. Anyway, after that we get Warrior Without a War, which starts with a crashing guitar and drums to sort of set the epicness to follow. The song gets played at a nice mid-tempo sort of stomp. Then we're into a great chuggy riff that sounds a bit like it's from essentially a western film, again setting the epic scale of the song up. I know it seems strange for me to say, considering this is more of a pagan Viking metal kind of band, but honestly when you hear it you'll know exactly what I mean by it. The vocalist then kicks in with his superb powerful voice. There's a nice change between the lead and backing vocalist for the chorus on this song. Can't even speak English. The choir comes back in after the chorus, being used to great effect. For the middle eight we have a lone guitar playing the melody and then both guitars playing together with just sparse bass notes and drums every now and again. This goes on for about a minute, then we kick back into high gear with the whole band crashing back in. Choir section comes back in, and after another use of the chorus, this takes us to the end of the song. Next is Cry for the Earthbounds. Now this starts with a male choir singing. Their female choir joins in as well to sing the melody of what is the song. This is quite a long 7-minute epic song. A violin then plays a spiralling tune and the band kicks in with a nice mid-tempo riff while the choir sing, and then the main vocalist comes in over the top of everything else. In the middle of the song, we have a lone guitar and keyboard playing the melody, while the second guitar plays a slightly higher sounding melody as well over the top of them. Then we break down to piano, and I believe it's a violin. It's a little bit distorted, so it's a little hard to tell. The females kick back in, giving a nice contrast to the rest of the song. The band then kicks back into that mid-pace stomp. A lot of kicking in here by several different instruments and vocalists. Anyway, at the end, for the last minute or so, the music builds and builds with more choirs adding their vocals into the mix until it all fades down to just the female and the male choirs, with none of the guitars, bass, drums, or main vocalist as well, and it just fades out. All in all, really epic song, brilliant addition to the album. Up next is Two of Spades, and this song threw me off a little bit for reasons I'll go into in a moment. The title of the song itself may be possibly a small sort of tribute to Motorhead. I can't say for sure. Anyway, it starts with a fantastic riff, and then the band kicks in. We're back to the high-speed, epic Viking-style metal. There's another song that's going to get the pits going if played live at first. As I said, there is something that happens that threw me off completely and probably threw a few people off. Again, we have the gang vocals joining in for the chorus of the song. We then break down to just guitar and drums with what I believe was a bit of added cowbell. Anyway, we've reached the 2-minute mark, and this is where things kind of threw me off, because we then go into a disco-style guitar and violin with bass and added whistling. This goes on for about a minute and a half with no explanation apart from, fuck it, we're Ensiferum, this is what we want to do with the song, and I can't admire them for that. Anyway, the band then kicks back in at full force, back to the metal riff from the beginning of the song. Strangely enough, I can actually see this being one of the singles from the album, but yeah, it definitely takes you by surprise, along with one of the bonus tracks, but I'm not going to speak about the bonus tracks on here, because there's a cover on there, and I think it's best if you find out what the cover is for yourself. Anyway, even though it threw me off, this is a fantastic song. The next song is My Ancestors' Blood, and now this starts with a lone guitar and occasional pounding drums. And then the vocalist joins in with a spoken word piece, not actually singing along, he's just literally speaking along in a very low, hushed, growled tone. We go into a nice chugging mid-paced riff, and the vocalist is back to his normal vocals with a violin playing along with a riff. We then change to a completely different riff to vary things up in this song. The clean vocals singing the chorus, again showing the versatility of that lead vocalist. Again, there's varying between the lead vocalist and the choir in the background singing the verses. The song ends with a singular ringing guitar note. Descendants' Defiance, Domination is the longest song on the album. It clocks in at around 11 minutes 20 seconds. Now, this starts with an ethereal sounding lone guitar with no distortion and occasional bass and drums every now and again on the song. Well, obviously, because I said occasional. Anyway, the drums then play a small drum roll, and we're into the song proper with a nice amount of distortion on the guitar so as to not smother the piano that is now playing along with the main melody. Suddenly, the whole band stops after a couple of minutes, then kicks into a high-speed metal riff, all with the piano playing along, again, to great effect. This goes on for about a minute or two, and then we get 70s style prog keyboard that also joins in as well to replace the piano from previously. The vocalist croaking spoken word parts over the top of the keyboards. We then have almost power metal style vocals coming in and starting to sing along with the guitar melody before going into the more heavy style vocals indicative of the rest of the album. A female choir comes in to sing the main melody alongside the guitar and the drums. Then everything stops and we're back into the high-speed metal riff again. The vocalist comes back in at full heavy vocals ferocity. The gang chants come back in along with the heavy vocals. Then the choir comes back in as well to sing along. All in all, superb, progressive vacant pagan metal masterpiece with great use of choir, instruments and the singer's versatile vocals, which from going to a superb heavy voice to incredible clean vocals, all in all absolutely superb joy to listen. It really doesn't feel like it is 11 minutes long. Definitely a high point on the album. Right, before I go any further, I'm going to apologise straight away, because if Ensiferum, or people who can speak the language from of Ensiferum, wherever they're from, the reason I'm going to apologise is because I'm probably going to cock up the pronunciation of this song's title completely. I think it's called Naito Pojalan, but I could be completely wrong and pronounce that completely and utterly wrong, and you're now laughing at me and in hysterics if you know how to pronounce it properly. Anyway, this starts with a very country style drum beat, then country sounding guitars kick in. This song sounds nothing like the rest of the album. For one, it's female vocals all the way through on this song that sing along, that come in along with a piano. We even have an accordion as well in the background of this song that is being used subtly in the background and gives great effect. As I said, it's something completely different on the album. It's a fantastic way to end the album after the progressive masterpiece that was Descendants, Defiance, Domination. So, you might have guessed by now, but what do I think? Should you buy this album? Stick around, I'll tell you. So, what did I make of my first experience of Ensiferum? Honestly, I really enjoyed this. Really enjoyed this album. I can't obviously say how it stacks up to their previous albums, as I said, this is my first time I've ever heard the band properly. Well, full album by the name. I've heard the odd song here and there, but I've never got around to actually hearing any of their full albums. But honestly, I'm going to be checking them out. If they're all as good as this, then yeah, I mean, I like the variety. I like that they threw the curveballs in there as well to sort of make sure you're still listening, and even if when you listen along, you just sort of suddenly turn around and go, what? Hang on, it's still the same album. But I can appreciate that. It shows their versatility and their willingness to take risks, along with not just doing the same old sort of, what's getting a little bit boring, the same sort of Viking lyrics, Viking metal kind of musical style again and again, because there's so many bands doing that. I like that they will just go off and do a bit of 70s disco in the middle of a song for no reason other than they feel like it. So yeah, the album is released on the 23rd of February. I'd recommend you go out and buy it, give it a go. I'll be sort of possibly looking into buying a proper copy of it as well. I want to thank Metal Blade Records for sending me the a preview copy of this album for this review. I want to thank you for watching this. I will be back soon with more reviews, maybe some more Underground Rising, maybe some more future releases, depends what I get sent. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to subscribe, and I will be back soon.